This administration planned to go to war with Iran the moment that he was signed and sworn into office. They knew that they were going to go into war with Iran. Now, this administration is trying to gaslight the American public and anybody else that will be foolish enough to believe their lies that they had no connection to the start of this war between Israel and Iran. They are trying to gaslight the public into thinking that they were not culpable partners. That is a lie. That is a lie, because their own officials with the state of Israel has cried out that America has been a willing participant. In fact, they have been the one who has orchestrated this entire conflict between Israel and Iran. They were the ones that set up the fight. And now we're going to hear what was stated and what is factual. This is one of the reasons on why I cannot connect with the Republican Party. I am not a Democrat. I'm not a liberal. I'm more conservative. But I cannot connect with the Republican Party because as soon as they come into office, they orchestrate wars, not help to end wars or are put in the middle of conflicts that are already going on. They start wars because wars create money, okay? And if you have stocks in Wall Street, you have stocks, war helps to funnel money to investors. During the conflict that happened after 9/11, when President Bush sent bombs overseas to Iraq, one of the first persons that benefited from this war was Vice President Cheney. He was one of the investors into some of these logistic companies like the company Halliburton. If you think I'm lying, please do the research yourself and you will see that Vice President Cheney profited millions of dollars when that war happened in Iraq. And Iraq didn't even have anything to do with what happened on 9/11.
So what is that? Define for our audience. Like, what's a logistics company?
I'm going to butcher it a little bit because I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but Cheney was, I believe he was the CEO of Halliburton. And so if you went to Afghanistan, if you went to Iraq, Halliburton pretty much ran all logistics for both of those wars. That's like they're building the fuel stations, they're building the chow halls, they're building the barracks, they're doing the laundry, they're cooking the food, they're sorting through the mail. They're
for the U.S. military.
For the U.S. military. So the way these things work is all these companies will put bids in, for government contracts. Well, it just so happens that Halliburton won like all the bids, and so there was definitely an incentive. I don't know what his ties were when he was vice president, but to come from that company to the vice president, and then to win all those, the company that he came from, Halliburton, to win all those contracts in a war that we probably shouldn't even have been in. Just basically everything you see, all the infrastructure that was built, everything, it was all Halliburton. I mean, it's the military industrial complex, like unraveling right before your eyes, and
only until President Obama's administration got into office is where the real culprit was handled and taken out for being the mastermind behind 9/11, and that's Osama bin Laden. Otherwise, the Bush administration, they profited off of the war in Iraq. And that's why I don't care what party you align yourself with, you have to do independent research so that you are educated on how these actions will affect you, what nature persons are in office. Because if you don't, just like with President Biden, no, I do not agree with his policies and how he handled the immigration issue and the border issue. No, I do not agree with that at all. And that's the reason why we have this mess today. No, there was a lot of people that were not vetted. Yes, there was a lot of money that was spilled on this unorganized migration of people into the United States. That was a big issue, and we're still paying for it now. So listen to the lies that are now unfolding in regards to this conflict going on now between Israel and Iran.
That they couldn't get it done. He said that he warned them of the manpower that both the United States and Israel has, and that those took a hardline position during these negotiations in Iran over a potential nuclear deal are, quote, all dead now. And then he said,
CNN's Kylie Atwood now reporting that the Trump administration is still hoping that nuclear talks with Iran will go ahead as planned this weekend in Amman. That is according to two sources familiar with the matter. A U.S. official saying we still intend to have talks Sunday. And just this morning, President Trump is offering his first public reaction to this major escalation in the Middle East. CNN's Elena Treen joining us right now for the latest on that angle. Elena, what are you hearing from the White House right now?
Yeah, this is the first official response we have gotten from President Donald Trump this morning. Came in just moments ago. And I will note, just before I get into it, that this is a bit in contrast with what we have been hearing now from the White House and from the Trump administration, specifically from Secretary of State Marco Rubio, that the U.S. had no involvement whatsoever in these strikes. So the statement from him, he posted this on his Truth Social website. He said that he gave Iran chance after chance to try and make this deal. But
now, let's listen to the truth buster.
Israel is now announcing that Washington knew about this, that Trump was aware of this, that Rubio was aware of this, and that they were provided intelligence from the United States of America, weapons from the United States, that the United States was integral to these operations. Israel has made that clear. Israel notified Washington before striking, according to Israel's public radio. An Israeli official telling the Jerusalem Post, we presented the American administration with evidence of Iran's breakthrough toward a nuclear bomb. There was full and complete coordination with Americans. Israel pushing very hard that they fully cooperated with the Americans and the Iranian strikes, despite U.S. aggressively denying they were involved in any way. Marco.
So now, there you have it. This is an American war. This is an American war, and Israel is nothing more than a mask. And America has coordinated this entire effort to bomb Iran and to take down their nuclear weapons team, scientists, government, whatever stands behind nuclear weapons, whatever stands behind their regime, their administration, their government, that's what they're going after. Also, too, sanctions no longer work because the American dollar doesn't have the value it did back in the time of the second Bush administration. It just doesn't. So sanctions no longer work. And America is no longer the great nation it once was before. And so that's why they're now doing these sneak attacks so that they can dismantle one of their biggest enemies. But this is the wrong way of doing it. And if you have any common sense, you will know this is the wrong way of doing it. America is going to suffer greatly. We're already in a financial crisis. This is going to further that financial crisis. This is going to send a lot of our men and women over into a battle that they did not ask for. It's going to kill a lot of people. And I would go so far as to even predict that, unfortunately, there's going to be some situations that happen here on American soil. With the technology that these countries have now, with the drones that were flown over our country all last year, this year, I mean, it's just obvious that we no longer are that great force anymore in the world, and we can easily be attacked from across any waters. We no longer have any allies that are near to us. Both Canada and Mexico are no longer our allies, and neither is Greenland. So we are in a pickle. So I'd love to hear your comments. Definitely praying for our nation, praying for everyone that's involved, because this is going to be a really dark moment in history. Have a blessed one.